Let's take our hands and put them together. So when you hold your hands together, you're holding the hand of that higher power. And now let's extend it to the person next to us, to the person behind us, to the person in front of us. This is what it does. And that, of course, is the title of my talk this morning. The late, great Dr. Martin Luther King, who would have been 90, not on Monday, but on the 15th. On his birthday. That's good. Thank you, Margaret. Said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of this creed, that all men are created equal." So if all men are created equal, then why do some suffer when others don't? It's simple. They don't understand what it does. When the farmer plants a seed, he invokes the law. When we plant an idea, we invoke the same law. The seed contains everything within it that it needs to become the tree. The ideas that we plant have everything within them that they need to become our dreams and our desires. So that potential is already there. How does it get in there? My mentor, Dr. Arlene Bump, used to always say, "I plant the seed, God grows the tree, God has the hard part." So all we have to do is unify with that potential. We don't have to figure out how it's going to happen. Sometimes it happens in the most unusual, unpredictable ways. So recognizing that idea, that energy, or what Dr. Ernest Holmes calls the thing itself, and unifying with the power of that presence, and then accepting it with gratitude and acceptance, and then releasing it by declaring, "And so it is." This is what we do when we recite affirmative prayer, or what we call spiritual mind treatment. Recognition, unification, affirmation, thanksgiving, and release. And faith, of course, is a very important part of that picture. In fact, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the staircase." And so the journey is from faith through belief and into conviction. The chair that you're sitting in when you were young, your caregiver gave you one. And because you trusted that person, you probably pushed it, maybe you tasted it, and eventually you sat in it. And it held you. So you developed a belief that that chair could support you. Now you walk into the room, you sit down, because you're convinced that it will. This is the same way we want to understand what it does. So the journey from faith through belief and into conviction happens when we pray from a place of belief. And Dr. King embodied the idea of belief. In 1955, he had the faith to take the first step with the boycott that he instigated of our segregated bus system. On August 28th in 1963, during his march on Washington, when 200,000 Americans of all races convinced him that he was on the right track when they gathered to hear him speak. In 1964, because of his belief in his nonviolent movement, it won a major victory when Congress passed the Civil Rights Act. And as a result, he was the youngest man to ever receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Quite a journey. So whatever our nationality, wherever we have come from, we all enter into and experience this incredible gift called life. And we also exit through the same gateway called death, which is nothing to be afraid of. Like the snake sheds its skin, we shed the material body, and the spiritual or ethereal body is revealed. And as children of the Most High, while we are living here in this third dimension, the direct impress of our thought, no matter how large or how small, is surrounded by a creative universal energy that is receptive to the original ideas of the One. And what I'd like to talk about this morning is the feminine aspect of that universal energy, or what it does. So the divine feminine gives birth to all of our thoughts, all of our ideas, and it's behind all of our actions. Those ideas move through the universal subjective mind, where they are acted upon by spiritual laws, just like the seed is acted upon by spiritual laws and the tree comes forth. Our ideas also come forth. And that universal soul, or the subjective mind, has been called the womb of nature because it is impregnated with all divine ideas. I shared with you during the opening meditation that Rumi says, beyond space and time, there is a field. Meet me there in your imagination. That field contains all the infinite possibilities that await our recognition. How many of you saw the Facebook post this morning from the Science of Mind textbook on page 418 that Carol put up? Fabulous quote, one sentence. It is the office of the imagination to set the vision. So we access that field of potential through our imagination. And we use the power of the conscious mind to direct it into our experience. Sometimes we do that consciously. More often, we do it unconsciously. And there are 2,000 thoughts per second going through our minds. Only 3% are conscious. So you can imagine the importance of really understanding what is contained within your belief system, because that is going to affect your entire experience. And I'd like to share with you this morning one of the declaration of principles that we live by as religious scientists. And it is this. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Let's say that aloud together. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. So when you hear me open a prayer with Mother, Father, Great Spirit, I'm not speaking to a person who's up in the sky that has a big, long, white beard and a book that's open, who's checking, kind of like Santa Claus, who's checking off who's been naughty and nice. I used to think as a kid that he threw lightning bolts down and struck all the ones that were sinners. I don't know what you guys grew up with. But what it is recognizing the masculine, which of course is the conscious, and then the feminine, which is the creative principles of creation. So that is the first cause. It is androgynous. It is a universal creative energy. It is not a boy up in the sky. If we think of it kind of like a single parent who has to be both masculine and feminine in their guidance when they are helping their children. So the divine feminine within us knows what to do, and it knows how to do it. We don't have to worry about how it happens. All we have to do is embody a greater awareness of our connection to it. And we do that through the power of the mind. When we get in alignment, the divine feminine moves through us and creates. When we get caught up in our old belief systems, a sense of separation from that power occurs. And that's when the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual energies begin to break down. As spiritual beings having a human experience, the biggest life is the one that includes the most. Situations that challenge us often hold the key that opens the door to reveal our wholeness. Whatever appears to be happening outside of ourselves is normally a direct reflection of what we need to be working on. And on Wednesday evening, we went through the process of radical forgiveness, which helps us to let go of our perceived enemies. And if you weren't here and you would like to participate in the process, I have extra forms in my office. Just see me after the celebration. So we come into this physical world with a mission to fully experience a particular energy pattern. It is only when we have complete clarity in our own inner mind and we are in alignment with the laws of the universe that we can outpicture our dreams and our desires. Which brings me to the second principle that I want to share with you this morning. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. Let's say that together. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. So our first beliefs about what God is come from our parents. Because they love us, they nurture us, they feed us, and they teach us their ideas of right and wrong. Some of us have siblings. We all have teachers, preachers. Then there's society, friends, and, of course, extended family that happens through marriage or just through general friendship. And all of those people influence what we embody at depth as our belief system. So as the divine, human creators incarnate that we are, we invoke, decree, and command. And the law responds to that. And then the divine feminine gets busy and creates whatever it is in our imagination. So whatever happens in the mind affects the body. The body supports the soul. And the soul is what connects us to the higher power. Dr. Ernest Holmes teaches us that the intelligence by and through which we perceive that there is a spiritual presence and an infinite mind in the universe constitutes our receptivity to it and decides its flow through us. So spirit can only give us what we can embody through our own receptive mentalities, through our engagement and participation with our imagination. So what can you imagine? What can you believe in? Recently, I was on the phone with my former boss, enlightening him about my experience in Cuba. I saw my grandmother's 1957 Bel Air with the wingtips go by, and I felt like I was back in Miami in the 50s as a child. And as I was explaining this to him, a Cooper hawk landed on the railing of my balcony, less than 10 feet from where I was sitting. I have no idea what the rest of the conversation contained, because you know how I feel about animals and spirit guides. So the hawks are the messengers, the protectors, and the visionaries of the air. They feed frequently on other birds, which gives credence to what you eat, you become, right? What you think, you experience. The sky is the realm of the hawk, which is very impressive because it stirs our imagination. It is believed that in flight they communicate with humans as well as the great creator spirit. And for those with the hawk as a totem, there are likely to be people who won't understand our creative energy. But rest assured, whenever the hawk shows up, there is a message coming. And the message that I received was to awaken and renew my own vision. And that vision is to lead our spiritual family in alignment with our collective purpose, which is to share awareness of our oneness, using the principles of science of mind to embrace a world that works for everyone. And so I found myself asking the question, what would love do? And I've placed a placard on the hospitality table that has that question, what would love do? And so I'm asking each and every one of you to go deep in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to leave it there until after Valentine's Day. And really take a look at what you're creating around you in your environment and in your experience. Dr. Ernest Holmes teaches us that love points the way and law makes the way possible. So ignorance of the law doesn't excuse us from its effects. If we affirm aloud that we're tired, that we're old, that we're sick, vibrant health is going to keep its distance. If we speak about ideas of lack and limitation, how is abundance going to get into our experience? If we express feelings of judgment or hatred, how will love enter into our experience? If we aren't giving wholeheartedly, it's impossible for us to receive. So it's really important to understand what it does before we begin to use it consciously. The Great Spirit is infinite in its ability to create. The possibility of differentiating it, which is up to us, is limitless. But the mind must conceive before that divine feminine principle can move through us to create our dreams and our desires. So the only blockage we can ever experience as human beings is the result of our own thinking. And the motto of the entire teaching is change your thinking, change your experience. So let's say that together. Change your thinking, change your experience. And we offer 4 tools to help you do that. They are affirmations, meditation, creative visualization, and prayer are what we call spiritual mind treatment. So we recognize the power for what it is. We unify with that power. We declare and affirm what it is we desire. And then we give thanks. There isn't a boy up there who needs to hear thank you. The thank you is about us. It's about our acceptance of what we have declared. And then we simply let it go by saying, and so it is. And the trick to that is not to go back and dig up the seed. Leave it alone. Dr. Ernest Holmes. The principle that we have to demonstrate is perfect. And insofar as we can compel the mind to perceive this perfection, so far will it automatically demonstrate. So whether we direct it consciously or unconsciously, the divine feminine is going to create through the power of the mind. And this, my beloveds, is what it does. Thank you, and namaste.